when you launch a new concept, you don't really know how the guest is going to treat it. We think we know,
Right,
but at the
right.
same time, you don't really know until it starts showing up.
Hi, I'm Russ, and this is the Memory Makers Podcast, the show that helps you create amazing customer experiences and make more memories. All right, gang, it's the last of our AAMA FEC of the Year finalist series, and I'm so excited today to be joined by Mr. Bucky Mabe of Face Amusements that owns and operates Guy Fieri's downtown Flavortown, the locations across the U.S., but specifically for our Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area. Bucky, thank you so much for joining us, good sir.
Yeah, thanks, Russ. Thanks for having us.
We're so excited to have you on. I was mentioning to you before we started recording, my wife and son and I have been to your location and have always had a good time. The environment, everything, you guys have done an incredible job with the venue, and so congratulations on that and being a finalist for this. But man, yeah, we're silly lucky to get to do what we do and to be able to have it come through, the opportunities for folks to celebrate and escape. So I'm excited to dive in with you a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. Thanks for having me.
For sure. So I'd love to start with just a high-level overview for downtown Flavortown and this location specifically. If you can give us a high-level overview of what the attraction and food and beverage mix is and number of employees, and then we'll start to get into some of the secret sauce that you guys put to good work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our downtown Flavortown is a 43,000 square foot family entertainment center that's based around the Guy Fieri Flavortown brand, and it has food and beverage. We have about 300 seats in the food and beverage side, and a large arcade, duckpin bowling, tiki bar, and just a few. And just really done in an upscale way to try to just bring a different type of vibe to the industry.
I love that. Well, and it definitely comes through. I mean, the food is wonderful, but at the interior finishes and just the choices that were made throughout the facility, you could tell that it wasn't something that we were cutting corners, but it was also everything was, thought through very intentionally and really trying to make sure, how do we provide an amazing restaurant and eating experience, but also have this entertainment component added to it. And I think you guys did a really nice job with it. When you are looking at staffing and knowing that our industry, and it may be a little bit different in more tourist focused areas, but do you guys deal with fluctuation in staffing as you get into busy seasons and kind of less busy seasons for, obviously kind of spring break through Labor Day kind of tends to be the big, window for Pigeon Forge and the Wisconsin Dells and other tourism based cities like that. Do you guys have to deal with a lot of staffing fluctuations, and where and how do you see that affect how you guys look for the right team members to bring on to serve the guests?
Yeah, it's funny you bring it up because in a tourist market, it's more seasonal than most. We have extremely highs and extreme lows, and it's been, and we've operated in this type of environment for a long time. We go for Flavortown in particular, we go from in our peak, we might have 160 employees that we have to cover everything, all the way down to, half of that during the off season, to cover everything and just keep everything rolling. So it's a big fluctuation.
So do you have the benefit of being able to bring back folks knowing, hey, they kind of ride the waves of the seasonality and things too? Are you able to get back folks that you've had good success with in previous iterations, or how does that hiring process start to look, knowing, hey, we've got a brand, we've got a cultural standard, we need to make sure that we're not just having folks that can pass the, fog the mirror test and a car to get to work kind of a thing. So is there anything in particular that you guys do through your hiring process, or how do you import or create that sense of import around the culture and what the guest experience is?
Well, for us, culture is a big thing, okay, to start out with. Our company, our base company is called Face Amusement, okay? And Face stands for our core values of faith, attitude, consistency, and excellence. And we base everything off of those four core values. We define faith as believing in one another. So we want a really strong trust in our team members that we bring on. Attitude is responding positively regardless of circumstance. Consistency is doing what is expected every day, and excellence is pursuing my personal best. And we use that as a guide for all of our hiring and firing. We have that, and it's it's really a lot of core values are up on the wall and never talked about, but ours are lived every single day. For instance, we have a lead every single day. Somebody sends out a core value list or their own core value, talking about faith, attitude, consistency, and excellence. One of those they talk about in their own personal way that they send out to the whole company, and we use that really as our guide, our North Star per se, to really hire the people that we want. So that's one way that we start out with our hiring, and but as far as our goal is to be able to keep a really strong core and have really good leaders that are able to teach a lot of the people that are in for the season, because it is a very transient type of environment, and
sure.
It's but the guest doesn't deserve a transient type of experience. So we have to make sure that we can provide that consistently throughout the year. So it's definitely tough. It's definitely something that we're, like I said, it's kind of second nature for us, because we've been in this business for a long time in these type of markets.
Sure.
And so it's really just just making sure our head coach, which we call him, which is our leader, general manager, is a really, really, really important job in all of our stores. I call it the most important job in all of our whole company, including my position, because it is the leader that guides all the people that touch our guests. That leader is not the right leader, it makes it very difficult culturally to be able to pass and get the right people on the team.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you that they're setting the tone. They're showing, hey, this is how we show up for each other. This is how we show up for the guests. They're inspecting what's expected. I mean, there's a lot that goes into having that person see the matrix and be a switched on cat, as I like to say. And if that's out of alignment, it's can get dicey. But it's also can be challenging because you may have somebody who's really good at a certain position and can continue to kind of work up. But do you guys do anything of, hey, this is someone that we recognize that has, a really positive impact in that kind of future trajectory? Are you guys doing any additional like leadership training or communication workshops or things like that to help them develop that skill set that may be a little bit outside of what the core competencies that they were getting promoted for in the first place?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because, and this is something we're investing in more and more as time goes on, because as we're growing our brand, growing our experiences, what we found out is it's really tough to bring somebody in from the outside and have them up to speed and going and expect that they can bring the culture that we expect without being immersed in it.
Right.
So our goal, overall, is to just be able to bring people in and then grow. But the thing that's like one of the greatest things for me is when we can bring somebody in as a regular team member, and then they move all the way up to our head coach position. And we've had that happen several times in our company. And as we continue to grow the brand, the downtown Flavortown brand in particular, it's very interesting because this brand is very different than your average FEC. We went into this. We've been in the amusement business my whole life. I'm second generation, and been blessed. I used to run routes as a kid, crane routes and coin operated amusements, all the way from, doing revenue shares to operating our own stuff, our own arcades, to now bringing together full experiences. And what we noticed as we were looking at trying to go into this world is we felt like the family entertainment center segment in a general was kind of fragmented, and there was some opportunity out there. The two different locations that's been able to scale nationally and become a $1 billion brand is a Dave and Buster's and a Chuck E. Cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done a very good job, paving the way for us to make this fun business, a real business, and be able to grow. But one thing that in particular that was struggling with those brands in particular was the food and beverage side was subpar, to say the least, and it kind of gave a black eye to a lot of different brands that we had tested. We would have extremely good food, but at the same time, nobody would know or give it a chance because they thought it was, bar food, or pizza, or just something that they eat if they have to, not because they want to,
Sure.
And so we took that on as a challenge, and we were like, how do we change the perception of the people, and through a series of events, we met with Guy Fieri and was able to pitch the idea of, being able to bring world-class food and entertainment together and use his platform as a way for us to bring that experience across. And it was really interesting, not knowing where we would, when you launch a new concept, you don't really know how the guest is going to treat it. We think we know,
Mm-hmm. Right,
but at
right.
the same time, you don't really know until they start showing up. And so in this concept in particular, we have seen a really unique demographic come into this concept that would never go into your traditional FEC and Dave and Buster's, whatever, all the different brands, because people are coming for the food and staying for the fun, and as opposed to just coming for the fun and maybe I'll eat.
Yeah.
We're in a totally different demographic than most. And with that, we have a 60% food and beverage versus 40% entertainment, which is very unique in this industry.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of inverted from what you would see most places look at. But I imagine that ties from, when you're leading with Guy Fieri and that's a known food brand, and then that's a fantastic way to be able to kind of leverage that and flip it. Now, have you found, based on the other types of venues and things like that, do you like having it be that 60% food and beverage and 40% entertainment, or how do you then strategically plan of, hey, if we want to see increases on the entertainment side, or do we need to see increases, or what kind of plays into that factor for future evolutions?
Yeah, one thing that everybody is trying to do, if you watch like Dave and Buster's, if you look at their quarterly reports and all that, they're at like a 70-30 type of entertainment to food, and they're always trying to boost that food revenue up because of you can get repeat guests more on the food than you can with the entertainment.
Right.
From a profitability standpoint, higher entertainment mix is a better profitability, but from a sustainability and as far as bringing in a different clientele, this 60-40 is really unique. And we're looking at how we drive sales on both sides, because we've done extremely well. And to kind of give you some context, we use Placer AI, which is it's a measures foot traffic in commercial real estate throughout the nation. And it has rankings and stuff like that it has. And it has us down under the restaurant category. And but in the state of Tennessee, we're the most visited restaurant in the state of Tennessee. And in the nation, we're number 15 out of 151,000 people.
Let's go.
51,000 different venues as far as foot traffic. So it's, the ability to bring people in has been amazing,
Yeah.
and it's and so it's been really neat coming from the amusement side, because that's our core,
Right. Right.
and then bringing this element in and really seeing how it all comes together. So it's been pretty neat. So.
I love that. Well, and to your point, being able to drive more frequent visits, going through the tip of the spear, being a little bit more of the food and beverage side and things where, hey, we know that there's always good food, and then to be able to capture, that extra time and dollars while they're playing and everything. I mean, that's fantastic. But the food definitely is, as I always joke, not that our customers are more demanding, but just the basic level of what is good, like that minimum threshold of excellence gets raised continually, and as people up their game. And so I can definitely see that making a big impact for you guys. When you look at the guest experience, and knowing, hey, we want to have, we're leading with the food and beverage, and we want to be known for that. How do you communicate that to the staff? I mean, is it walking them around and showing like a customer having a good time, or when a customer's struggling and saying like, hey, when you see this, like this is your cue to interject or make sure that, we're engaging? Because so many times it's easy to feel like, okay, I can get kind of lost in the arcade and be left to my own, which is okay. Some guests want that. But where do you guys look at what are the most significant aspects of the guest experience based on how you guys operate, and where do you keep your finger on the pulse for how that's going for them beyond just looking at sales are up or sales are down?
Yeah, the experience is what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Really, everything we do, every single FEC out there, it really has the same products. If you look at it, I mean, you've got the games are pretty much the same, the attractions you can get, so where is the difference? The difference is in the experience, how we treat the guests, how we make them feel, how we, just everything about that is what's the unique part. And, for us, what we look at is like you were saying, the bar of what we call basic expectations is always rising. And basic expectations, I define basic expectations as something that the guest expects. You're going to get a bad review if you don't do it, but you don't get any credit if you do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So let's take, for example, like hot food. Okay. Well, nobody's going to say, well, you won't believe this place has hot food, but if you have cold food, they're going to write a review and say, oh, you have cold food. And
right.
So there's a lot of basic expectations that you have to hit. You have to nail those first from a guest experience standpoint, or you can't get anywhere. We first train, on the basic expectations. Then we have what we want every guest to have a star experience. Okay. STAR for us is an acronym for something they'll always remember. Okay. And the way we create a star experience is by what we call a +1 experience. So you take the basic expectation and you try to go +1. And the only time you can create a memory is for something to be out of the ordinary and not your basic things. So we really try to train our employees to really look and pay attention to the guest. And when they have opportunities to give +1 moments, we really want them to take advantage of that. And it's more about training them on what to focus on and what they can do, as opposed to an exact script that we
Sure. Yeah. Well, and giving them a framework that they can experiment or tailor it to something that's going to be meaningful. And it's an interesting piece when you talk to some operators, it's this, well, we want to empower the employees and we want them to have autonomy to be able to keep the small things small and do that. easy in principle to say that you want to do that, but the consistently executing at that is, you really have to consistently be looking for every rock to flip over and look under for those kinds of pieces. Just because, again, the fact that it's a basic expectation, it's stuff that we take for granted. And so sometimes you have to get that, you have to be, kind of subconsciously effective at it, right? You have to get those reps in and understand then, okay, great, here's how I can take this up a level or do that. And I tell folks all the time, even when we're talking about attractions or other stuff that we do, it's like, listen, you can have the Taj Mahal, but if you have some checked out staff member who's just going to be clicking you through like a bouncer at a nightclub kind of a thing, it's only going to go so far. And you're kind of buying a Ferrari to deliver pizzas, where you want to train that person up of how to take the corners tight and keep the RPMs in line and actually drive the car and get the most out of it, because there's a ton of unused potential if you're not. And so, yeah, that I wholeheartedly agree. It's showing them this is what success looks like, and here are different ways that you can go about doing that, but allowing them to have some impact, because I'd imagine too, it also makes a huge difference for the staff, just fulfillment and employee satisfaction as well, of, okay, I feel like I'm given tools or opportunities to make an impact and be a force for good. And that's why I say, like, we're ridiculously lucky to get to do what we do, because we get to see more of a direct and tangible result to the work that we're doing and the positive impact that it has, where so many industries or businesses just don't have that direct line of sight. And so I feel like if you get those right switched on cats that really respond to that and lean into it, it's like, oh my gosh, let's hold on to them with both hands tightly, because they get it.
No, you're exactly right. We we are blessed to be able to be in this business, and it's interesting, our business in general. We our mission is we bring fun to the world, and we do this in many different ways, and it's so interesting, in today's world with AI and all the phones and all that, the world is in need of fun and connection more than they've ever been in my lifetime, and I just feel like we're in the early innings of this industry really, really taking off. I know we've had a big boom with the experience economy, but at the same time, I feel like our area is, AI proof, AI recession proof, or whatever you want to call it, because I don't see fun going away anytime soon. People 100 years from now are going to want to have fun. Now, how they're going to want to have fun, we got to figure that out.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
But it's really exciting to be in this space right now.
I totally agree. And I think when you see just how long it took for the itch to get scratched coming out of COVID and things, like, we are inherently social creatures. And to your point on AI or other things, it's like the technology can help service like faster response times, or we can empower our staff to be able to do more without just putting them into burnout mode and go, and that way they're not losing their minds. And or you even look at like, hey, there are serving robots and stuff that can help bus tables or do other stuff. Like, in my head, using that technology and a lot of those tools specifically within our industry, to your point, I look at it almost more of like, what are the pit crew pieces and things, so that way then our team that is here can really be focused on the mission critical and human to human connection aspects, because that is such a big part of the secret sauce of, hey, when we come out, we want to feel special, or we want to feel like we're doing something that others aren't getting to do, or any of those elements. Like, it's still all driven from that human to human interaction, and I think what creates that deeper emotional connection to it. In looking at, being blessed to get to do what we do and everything else, what are you, and whether this is Face or downtown Flavortown specifically, like, what do you guys do to make sure that you're involved with the community and kind of, is it participating in local fundraisers? Is it trying to, be an active member in the Chamber of Commerce? What do you guys do to make sure that you are, establishing roots within the markets and working in tandem with the communities?
Yeah, no, it's great. Thanks for asking that. We have a few different programs that we do, and they're really interesting, really fun, and it's compounded every year since we've been doing what we call a Star Christmas, which is we've been doing it now since 2013 was our first one, and it's we were talking about it just here how far it's came from 12 years ago to now, but essentially what we do, and this is something we don't advertise out because this is really truly for the families that we serve. Um, we get with school counselors and we find families within the area that are just having a tough time. It's they're at a part of their life where they just had some bad luck and had just need something, and
Mm-hmm.
we take them to the Pigeon Forge market and the Branson market, all the markets that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
and we just treat them for the whole day. I mean, we have, between all of our attractions that we have, and we have several attractions, and we have other partners that partner with us to help them, and we take them, and just their whole family doesn't have to think about anything for a day. They go out and they play all the stuff. All the things they would want to do. They come and we feed them 2 times. They end the day at downtown Flavortown and Pigeon Forge, and just that we have Santa come and give them presents. I mean, it's a really special day for them, and we've done that. We're growing that each and every year, and this year we really are going to even take it up even more. And that's a seasonal thing we do. Like I said, it's not something that we as Face go out and advertise.
Sure.
The last thing in the world, a lot of people that are in that situation, this is we don't want to embarrass them at all or put them in a spot where this is really just about them. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about us. But we've as time's gone on, it's been really good, we've really, there's been a lot of blessings that's happened with that. And a second thing we do is we do a thing called face bears. Okay. And face bears is kind of taken off of the Tom's shoe model,
Oh,
where
sure.
if you buy a pair of shoes, you give a pair of shoes away. And for us, if you win a bear, we give a bear. And we've been doing this, I'd say we're close to 10 years now, and we've really give away a ton of bears. And
Uh-huh.
we partner with the Nashville Down Syndrome Association and their Buddy Walk program, and we go to their nationals all the way up to Times Square and give away face bears all the way there. And it's just been amazing. A neat little thing that we can do, just to kind of share the fun.
That's amazing. I love both of those. Thank you. Well, and I bring that up because with our listeners and the viewers that check into this, it's sometimes it feels like, okay, we need to try to do a ton of different things, right? Like there are some operators that are like, anybody that comes in that wants something for a fundraiser, great, here's a $20 gift card or whatever. And
Right.
and that way, you can kind of do that. But I always feel like, and not that there's anything wrong with that. That's a worthy goal. It's how you help and serve as many of those opportunities that come up, and you want to be that force for good. But especially when it's a couple of things like what you described that have real significant meaning to the team that's actually executing it too, man, does it just take it to a whole nother level. And I love that. So one thing I wanted to do in shifting gears a little bit was how your team looks at, we were joking of, hey, in 100 years, people are still going to want to come together and socialize and do experiences. What that is and how that looks is, up for grabs, and it'll change Tuesday to Tuesday. But looking at how does your team make sure that, hey, whether it's a new infrastructure system or it's potentially an attraction that we want to look at, right? All of these decisions can span a spectrum, but what are some of the critical tools or litmus tests that you and your team try to use when evaluating, hey, if we're going to try this new offering or if we need to make a change in our infrastructure, how do we really poke holes at that and adopt it in so that way we can get up to speed quickly with it?
Yeah, no, good question. The one thing about our industry is you've always got to be testing and you've got to be trying stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're very connected in the industry and have a lot of friends in the industry that share things, and but at the end of the day, you don't know if it's going to work for your location or not. So it's funny. One of the things my dad always said growing up was, everything is on wheels, meaning that when we put a game in, we don't know if it's going to work, but you know what? If it doesn't, we're going to take it right out.
Oh yeah.
And so we're constantly testing new stuff and trying to stay on the cutting edge. And with especially, there's within the centers, there's two different types of attractions. Ones that bring in new business, and ones that try to monetize your existing business. And so our focus here recently has been, is this new attraction going to bring in new business?
Mm-hmm.
And which is an interesting way to look at it, because for instance, a particular game in an arcade is not going to bring in new business by itself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They might play it more when they're there, but it's not going to bring in new business. And so we really just are always testing and just trying to see, what works and what doesn't. When it works, we just have to try to figure out whether it's a pre-arrival booking or it's if something we're trying to sell people once they get there, or how it is. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's such an important aspect of it, of like, what would success look like for this? And do we actually have an understanding of, okay, it's been successful over here and it's been successful over here. What is actually driving that success? Or, because are there market particulars, or is there a customer base thing or something? And really trying to make sure that you keep you're cognizant of what the context around that success is, in order to say, like, do we have that? Do we not have that? If we don't, how would we, engineer around that? Or is that not the right fit? So I think that's always that we've got to always be willing to turn the knobs and the levers and tinker and experiment a little bit. One, because we can learn from some of those failures of, okay, that is not necessarily our sweet spot. Whether it's a limitation on what this can do versus what we need it to do, or if we just found, hey, in that season that we were trying this, maybe we weren't, leaning into, pieces, like there were things that we didn't know, all of that. Like, those are still valuable reps to be able to get into. And, I always joke with operators as I'm chatting with them, whether it was like Craig Buster when he was back at Coconut Bowl Wild Island, he was like, yeah, the most expensive mistake we ever made was putting in a $700,000 restaurant. And we turned out that we were terrible at operating restaurants. And so we had to quickly move on from that. And he goes, I was planning on heading into my boss's office fully expecting to get fired, and the boss was like, well, no, I just invested $700,000 into your education, like, I need you to help pay some of that back. And so that mindset that goes into being willing to try and test things in a controlled way, but also making sure that you're utilizing your network and your peers to learn of, like, what are you guys seeing out over here, and all of that, just because there's enough variables in it that it's hard to get a perfect idea, like you said. But man, if we can really try to isolate what goes into it at its core, that's a great way to approach it. Yeah. Well, I love it. Well, Bucky, do you, one thing I always love to ask folks when we have guests on is if there is a favorite book or a quote or a mantra or a podcast. It could be something that you've had in your back pocket for 20 plus years. It could be something that you saw on a meme yesterday that really tickled your fancy, but was curious if you had anything that you wanted to share as far as something that served you well.
Well, I'm a huge reader, so I'm always reading something. My team, I give them so many books, it's not even funny, but they're like, oh no, another one. But the one that we've been studying here recently is the one that's on my mind right now. It's a small book. It's called The Little Book of Trust, and it's by Charles Feltman.
Okay.
And I thought it's something our team just went through together, and it's very interesting on how you lose trust within a team. And I think everybody in our company came out of it being aware of something new that they can use in their personal life and their work life. So that one amazing. It's not long. It's less than 100 pages, but it
Oh,
has a lot of
nice.
stuff. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Now, do you nerd out like we do? Like we ended up leaning in and doing like an Audible account where we can do the audiobooks and copies of it and things, because I am the same way. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just read this book. I love it. Okay, everybody on the team, like let's sink our teeth into this and let's get after it. And they're like, ugh, okay. But now I'm like, nope, this is part of our meeting. Like we're doing some structured, learnings, because you just want people to be able to your point, have some things that apply. It may not be something that applies much to them in the moment on the professional side, but it could be something that unlocks a key for them on the personal side. And then they're showing up as a better employee just because they get more balance or they're growing as an individual person. So I love that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, it's, one of my personal goals is no matter who comes into our company is I want them to leave. I want them to stay forever. You know what I'm saying? But if they
Yeah,
leave us, I want them to leave being better off that they came in contact with our company. And
absolutely.
a lot, just like I said, just the personal growth side's been important to me, and I love to share it. And as far as another thing, a podcast that I've been listening to, just geeking out on, has been one called the Founders Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I mean, it's just from an entrepreneur standpoint, just being able to learn about all the different great people before us, and it's amazing. I've there's 307 episodes, I believe, and
Yeah.
I've tried to get through them all, but it's really good. If somebody had never listened to that, it's worth the time.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I love most about that too is getting context of like, these were the failures or the struggles that we actually had to go through, because it's so easy to be like, oh, well, everything feels like it's an overnight sensation. And it's like, no, there were years of, struggle and experimentation and things not going right to get this to where it actually is. And having that mindset is so critical, because one, it shows you, okay, people can manage hard things at higher levels than we give ourselves credit for. And I need, for me personally, like if I'm getting resistance, it's like, nope, everything is figure outable. Like we can keep getting after it that way. So I love that.
I, I'll reiterate what you just said. I mean, it's that's the best part about reading those, is seeing, and it's so interesting how people will be in totally different industries and have the same mindset, as
Yeah.
far as the struggles is what I listen for, to be honest, because like you said, I mean, it's all great to see somebody succeed, but as an entrepreneur and as it's all about the struggle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And how you overcome it and how you move forward. So it's been a great one for me to learn a lot. So
I love it. Well, Bucky, I can't thank you enough for you taking the time to sit with us and provide some insights. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And congratulations again on being a finalist for FEC of the Year with the AAMA. Really wishing you guys the best. And I'll see you coming up at the show. If you're going to be in town in Vegas, I'll make sure to come and say hello, and we'll get some more opportunities, hopefully, to have you or the team on just to share some awesome insights. So I thank you again so much for your time.
no, thank you, Russ. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining us. If you liked what you heard today, we would love to get a 5-star review from you. Please and thank you if we've earned it. Also, if you have ideas for future episodes or content that you want to make sure that we're exploring, hit us up on social media. We'll be more than happy to add that into the mix. And finally, a big shout out to Mikey Mike on the ones and twos, working the Ultranet for us, making this whole thing happen. And we'll catch you on the next one, Troublemakers.